So far, we have been studying about Turing machines and we have seen many aspects of Turing machines. In this lecture, we will be studying about Turing machine as problem solvers. So we already know that Turing machines are much more powerful than the other machines that we have discussed, like finite state machines and push-on automatas. We have already seen that. And till now, we have been using Turing machines to decide or recognize certain languages. So that was what we were mainly doing with the Turing machines that we have designed so far. Now we will see how can we use these Turing machines as problem solvers. So in order to do that, the first thing that we need to know is that any arbitrary problem can be expressed as a language. So as I told you, we have already been using Turing machines to decide certain languages and we already know how it works. So if we are able to express a given problem as a language, then we know that we can design a Turing machine in order to perform that task. So we should know that if we have an algorithm or if we have something that is computable, then we can design a Turing machine for that certain task. That is what we have studied in the Church-Turing thesis. So I have already explained Church-Turing thesis in one of the previous lectures, and there we saw that anything that is computable can be designed using a Turing machine. So let us see how can we formulate a problem into a language so that we can design the Turing machine in order to solve that problem. So what we do is that any instance of the problem is encoded into a string. So the problem that we have is encoded into a string and we pass that string into our Turing machine. And if the string is in the language, then the answer is yes. That means if the Turing machine accepts that string, then the answer to our problem is yes. And then if the string is not in the language, that means if the Turing machine rejects that string, then the answer is no to our problem. So this is how we do it. Now let us take an example to understand this more clearly. So here we have an example. The example is we have a problem in which we have to find out whether a given undirected graph is connected or not. So the example says, is this undirected graph connected? So we have a graph here which is undirected and we have to find out if this graph is connected or not connected. So just by looking at this, we know that it is not connected because there is no link between this part of the graph and this part of the graph. So if this node wants to communicate with this node, there is no path between them. So we know that this is not a connected graph. So we will see how can we formulate this problem into a language and how can we design a Turing machine in order to solve this problem. So we will not be designing the entire Turing machine for this because that is going to take a lot of time. So what we are going to do is we are going to just get an idea of how we can do this. So the first step that we need to do is we must encode the problem into a language. So we have a problem here and we understood what is our problem. Now we have to encode it into a language. So how do we do that? We do it like this. We call the language as A equal to G. And what is G? G is a connected graph. So G is like a string which represents a connected graph. Now, how does this work? So we would like to find a Turing machine to decide this language. And what do is we design a Turing machine in such a way that if the Turing machine accepts, then the answer is yes, this is a connected graph. That means if the Turing machine accepts the string that is passed into it, then that graph which was represented using the string is a connected graph if it accepts, and if it rejects that, then the answer is no. That means this is not a connected graph or this is not a valid representation of a graph. And then we also know that there is another option that we can have in Turing machine, which is the loop. Another option means another outcome, but we should not have this looping outcome in this Turing machine that we decide. So this problem is decidable, so our Turing machine will always hold. If the Turing machine doesn't hold, it may go to a loop without accepting. But we should be careful to design a Turing machine that will not loop because this is a decidable problem. Alright, now let's see how we can represent this graph so that we can design it using a Turing machine. So here I have shown the representation of the graph. So we need a way in which we can represent the graph so that we can feed it into our Turing machine. So here I have given some numbers to the nodes in order to recognize which are the nodes. And here G, which is the language, is defined using these list of nodes and the edges. So the first set represents the list of nodes. So here we have nodes 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the number of nodes or the names of the nodes will be written in this set. And then the next set, it represents the edges. So here we have 1, 2. There is an edge between node 1 and node 2. So 1, 2, this is an edge. Then 2, 3, 2, 3, this is another edge. Then 1, 3, this is another edge, and 1, 4, this is another edge. So whichever edges you have to represent or put it inside this set. So this is how we can represent the graph. Now, we know that in Turing machines we have tape, and we need to represent these things in the tape. So first of all, let's see what are the alphabets that we will be having in this language. So the set of alphabets or symbols are parenthesis, open parenthesis and close parenthesis, because we need the open parenthesis and close parenthesis to represent these sets. So we need to include these symbols in our alphabet. Then we have the comma symbol. This comma we use to separate the nodes. So even here we use commas in order to separate the edges. So we need to use the comma symbol also. And then we have the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4 up to whatever is required. Alright, now this is how the tape will look like for the Turing machine. So here it starts with the open parenthesis, then 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, depending upon how many nodes you have. And then we see that at the ending you will have 2 parentheses closing it, then the blank symbol and the tape continuing to infinity. So this is how the sample tape of this Turing machine will look like for this particular problem of finding out whether the graph is connected or not. Now let us try to write the high-level algorithm for this so that we can design it using the Turing machine. So here is a high-level algorithm for the particular problem that we have. So the first step is select a node and mark it. We select a node and we mark it. We mark the node in order to make sure that we have visited that node. So after that, we repeat this step. There is a for loop over here which says for each node n, if n is unmarked and there is an edge from n to an already marked node, then mark node n. So for every node we check that if that node is unmarked and if there is an edge from that particular node to an already marked node, then we mark that node as well. So by doing so, we are going to find out which are the edges that we have, which are the edges connecting those nodes. And then we end this and until no more nodes can be marked. So we continue this process until no more nodes can be marked. So we see that when we are doing this, if there is a disconnection or if there is a missing path between two nodes, then that will not be marked. And then we see another loop over here. We check and scan all the nodes again. For each node n, if n is unmarked, then reject. That means that we have been marking all the nodes which was having an edge connecting to the other nodes. Now if you find a node that is not marked, then that means there is a missing edge, which proves that this is a disconnected graph. So if you find that any of the node is unmarked, then we reject. And by rejecting we mean that it is a no. That means the answer to our question is no. And what was our question? Our question is whether the graph was connected or not. And then if this part is not true, if this part doesn't occur, that means if all the nodes are marked, then we accept. So this is the high level algorithm for this. Now we have to see how can we put this or how can we formulate this into a Turing machine. Now again, as I told you, we are not going to design the entire steps because that is going to take a lot of time, but we can do it of course, but I'm just going to show you the brief idea of how we can do this. So here is the implementation level algorithm. That means how we can implement this algorithm in the Turing machine. So first of all, we check that the input describes a valid graph. So the first thing that we need to do is we have to check if the input that is provided describes a valid graph. So if it does not describe a valid graph, then we can end it there itself because we don't need to proceed. Then the next step what we do is we check the node list. We have to check the list of nodes that we have. So first of all, as I showed you before, we have this open parenthesis in our tape. So we scan the open parenthesis followed by the digits, which represents the node numbers. And then we check that all nodes are different, that is no repetitions are there. So all the nodes should be unique and different, otherwise it does not represent a valid graph. So we have to check that all the nodes are different, and after that we check the edge list. So just like we check the node numbers, we have to check the edge list, which was the thing that follows the node list, etc. And all these things you have to do. Then what you have to do is we have to mark the first node. Now we do the marking. So place a dot under the first node in the node list. So place a dot means mark it. Alright, we mark the node that we have visited, and then scan the node list to find a node that is not marked, and then we follow the steps that I showed you in the previous algorithm, and after everything is done we scan the node list to find if there is a node that is not marked, and then it goes on, and if we find at the end that there is something that is not marked, then we reject, saying that no, this is not a connected graph. But if we find that everything is marked, then we say that yes, it accepts, and yes, this graph is a connected graph. So this is actually a brief idea of how you can do it. The whole thing will take a lot of time, so we are not going to solve the entire thing, but we see that using this technique we are able to use Turing machines as problem solvers. So the main purpose of this lecture was to make you understand that Turing machines can also be used as problem solvers, and hence you can understand how powerful it is as compared to the other machines. So Turing machine basically can do many more or so much more powerful computations as compared to the other machines that we have discussed so far. So that was about Turing machines as problem solvers. I hope that was clear to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.